I do workouts at the gym as well as home. And there's some days where I'm like, why? I'm not lifting like I normally can. And there's some days where I'm like, wow, where am I getting all this strength from? But I think on the days that you're not maybe as strong, it's okay. It's going to happen. And then maybe instead of focusing on like a weight training workout that day, maybe you divert yourself to maybe a cardio or a different workout that maybe your muscles, maybe you're sore and you don't want to work up your body. You just give it a break and you do something else, or you take a stretch day or whatever. But you listen to your body all the time, and it's okay to have those days because everybody does, you know?
Welcome to the V-Shred Better Body, Better Life podcast, where we help you live your best life while working on your health and fitness goals. We're here to make your journey fun and inspiring.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Better Body, Better Life podcast. I'm your host, Vince Sant, and today we are joined by one of our previous guests, Coach Kim, where one of our V-Shred coaches, been working with us for a while, has worked with tons of clients. She has her bachelor's in arts. She has her fitness management nutrition certification, certified personal trainer, certified bar boot camp instructor. And like I said, she's been working with our clients for a while now, and we're excited to have you. We're going to be talking about just exercise tips in general today. We're going to be diving into a bunch of different things related to what to expect. We kind of talked about some of this stuff in our previous episode, if you guys want to check that out, which was all about what to expect when starting a fitness journey. This one, we're going to be diving a little bit more into just exercise directly. And so if you're struggling with exercise, this is your episode. So Kim, welcome.
Hi, thank you, everybody. Hello.
Yeah, so let's just start it out with why is it important to, like, we talked about this actually in the last episode, where it's not just about like doing workouts because you don't know why, you know, it's about having an understanding of why we're doing a specific type of workout. That way we can learn as we go. What is the importance of asking yourself, how can this exercise benefit me?
Definitely. And I think you want to ask yourself that on a daily basis when you go to exercise. Why am I doing this? What is the point of this for myself? And I think when you answer that in your head, you're going to realize, hey, I need to do this for my health, for my mental health, physical health, mental health, emotional health, for more energy throughout the rest of the day, better moods, sometimes the social aspect of going to a gym and meeting friends and talking to friends, doing a class, what have you. But I think you have to really ask yourself your own question. What am I getting out of this today? And I do that, like I said, myself, I catch myself doing that on a daily basis when some days you just don't feel like working out, but you're like, I need to do this because, you know, I'm going to feel better in an hour from now or whatever. So I think, you know, you're building you're helping your body feel better. You're strengthening, you're toning, you're shaping, and you're working on your weight loss if that is one of your goals.
Yeah. And would you say that there's different types of workouts based on what you're trying to achieve?
100%. Like I said, we touched on this in the last episode, like you said, but if you're a beginner, you know, you may want to start off very, very, very slowly with like a cardio exercise of your choice. If you like biking, walking, a stair, whatever, elliptical, anything like that. If you're a little bit younger, you can probably start off a little bit more advanced by adding in some weight training right away. If you want to, lightweight training. And then if you're more of a seasoned person, you can take it up a step and you can add in, you know, some more intense workouts, add a couple of days of HIIT if you want to, the high intensity interval training. And you can maybe, like I said, just think of ways to challenge yourself on a daily basis. My goal for every client is to get your heart rate accelerated every day somehow. That is where you're going to feel the best and you're going to get the most out of your workout. You're going to get that heart rate accelerated and burn off that body fat per day.
And what would you say to, like, I have a lot of friends who will go through these cycles of not working out and then working out really, really hard. And I think they do prefer the all or nothing mindset, but I also think that sometimes it can backfire, but I don't think that's the case for everybody. I think, like for me, for example, when I start something, I'm an all-in type of person. Like I generally won't start super slow on something. What do you say to the people who think that they need to go all out from the beginning? Like, is there a time and place for that?
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest it. I wouldn't suggest going all out at once, because number one, you're probably going to end up getting sore if you're doing more than what your body's used to. That could discourage you. You could injure yourself even if you're doing something without using the proper form and technique.
That's a big one.
And you don't want to burn yourself out. Like you don't want to go full force and oh, I'm sore for 3 days after that, and then there's 3 days after that you're missing a workout again. So you want to take it slow and slowly build up. And I said I wouldn't go all out on anything, but I said you do want to be consistent. I think that consistency is really important. Not only with meals, but for sure with exercise. You have to be consistent because your body needs that movement in throughout the week,
Yeah,
for sure.
and I think that the injury point you made is a big one. Like sometimes you might be ready mentally to go all out. I think for most people, probably not. I think what it is really, and maybe you have a different experience, is it's impatience. It's people wanting to get fast results. If they are 50 pounds overweight and they want to lose those 50 pounds, they want to lose those 50 pounds as fast as possible. Like as humans,
Right.
we're all impatient. If I gave you an option to be able to speak Spanish in a month or a year, you're going to pick a month. Everybody's always going to go for the shorter duration, just because like
Quicker,
we are a short-term thinking population, I think, for the most part. But if you can get into that delayed gratification, you can learn to just, like you said, create that consistency, which means finding something that is consistent, something that you can actually stick to, is huge. Because I can speak from experience with my triathlon stuff. Like I started doing triathlons last year and I kind of ramped up a little too quick with the volume, and and people can relate to this with like just lifting weights or just working out. I didn't allow my body to adjust to the type of stress I was going to put it under. Because with something new that's tough on your body, which that's what exercise is. It's supposed to be tough on your body. It's supposed to be a stressful event that your body recovers from, right? If you go too much of that, you probably will result in injury. And that's what happened to me with my running. I just tried to I went from like running 2, 3, 4 miles at a time. And then all of a sudden I just ran like this 13-mile run on pavement, which is much harder to run than on treadmill. And I ended up getting plantar fasciitis. And so my foot was messed up for a while and I couldn't run. And then same thing with my lifting. I've dealt with this as well, where like I decided, hey, I want to get strong while I'm training for triathlons, which I don't know why I was trying to do that, but I was. And I started like benching more. And I've never been a big bencher. I don't recommend benching for just somebody who's trying to get in shape. I think if you're trying to be a power lifter or something like that, then that's one of the 3 lifts you have to do.
Great.
But most of the time it's a pretty dangerous exercise, and there's other things that you can do that are have a lower risk of injury. But I was like, I'm gonna get strong. I want to bench a lot. And this was literally like last year. You'd think this sounds like 16-year-old Vince. No, this was last year. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna start benching. And I ramped up my weight way too fast. And I ended up like maxing out. I like built my max up to like 315 over the course of like 4 weeks or something like that. And then I didn't deload properly and I tore my pec. And that was one of the worst pains I've ever experienced. I still have trauma when I'm benching weight if I start feeling something weird, because I'm just scared it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
And so it just goes to show, like what you said, you have to ease your way into it. You have to prepare your body for it. You have to prepare your mind for it. And you have to find something that's going to be sustainable for the rest of your life. I think that's what people miss out on, is they're like, no, I could do this for a couple weeks, couple months. Could you do what you're doing right now for the rest of your life? I think that's what people need to ask.
And don't forget, with any workout routine, to take time to stretch afterwards. We touched on this previously too, but your body needs, number one, an active warm up before you're going to go into your workout. And you need to take the time afterwards to properly cool down and stretch. I know a lot of people don't want to take the time to do that. I used to be like that as well when I was younger, but the benefits are there's so many benefits to cooling down properly and taking the time to do that. So then that evening and the next day, you don't feel like you've, worked too hard. Your muscles
you don't feel like
are more
you got hit by a
limber,
truck.
Yeah, you're not as fatigued. You got more blood flow and oxygen to those muscles. So, make sure you stretch. I can't emphasize that enough,
Yeah, and
for
I
sure.
remember on the last episode you said you stretched 3 times a day, which is wild to me.
I, I do. And you know what? As I've gotten older, and I actually recommend this for people like older people, as you get older, your flexibility declines. So, to keep that core even strong, you want to stretch because, it's so beneficial. And for so many people, like sitting in a chair all day, which is what a lot of people do, like your back, your posture you suffers so much. So take the time to, do some, lower back and ab stretches, throughout the day. You'll feel so much better. I can't even tell
What
you
are those
the,
three
the
times
difference.
of the day that you do stretch?
When this is, you're going to think this is silly, but I get up 20 extra minutes in the morning so I can have time to stretch. And then I take my dog for a
I
run. So
bet that I bet that
but I
morning
stretch 10
stretch is
minutes.
so nice. It probably sucks first thing. Like you're probably so tight, and
But I'm
then
so used to it.
feels so
I
good
can't
after.
not go without it.
Yeah.
My kids are said, Mom, why do you get up? Like I said, I have to do it. Like that's just, you'll see when you get older. But anyways, I stretch then. I stretch after my morning workouts. I work out in the morning and then I stretch in the evening. So, those
Evening
are the
meaning
three
like
times
before bed.
yeah, before bed. Yep.
Okay.
And, I know it's a little bit, it's really 5 minutes out of my day, which isn't a whole lot. But it makes a world of a difference in how I feel and my energy is better
And
for
and
sure.
and and I mean, maybe I don't know how you do it, but like I've had times like I'm not as good at stretching as you are. I am a post or pre-workout mobility type of person. I'm adamant about
Yeah.
that. I do not miss that.
Yeah.
Stretching I could definitely
Yeah.
be better at, but I'm pretty
Yeah.
flexible for a guy, I like to think. But there's been times where like I am sore, and I mentioned I heard this Huberman podcast on the last episode, and I heard him again talking about the effect that stretching has before bed on sleep, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like the extra blood flow gets you way more deep sleep and way more REM sleep. And then so like that just goes to show that like obviously after a workout, hugely beneficial. It's going to help out with soreness, it's going to help out with recovery, which I could definitely be better about. But then there's other times of
Yeah.
the day that's also hugely beneficial. And so is that something that you always did, or is that like something that you said you got into later on in life?
I would say within the last 5 to 10 years. Before that, no. I don't know why. I just started it. I started stretching and I think what happened is I started getting older and I started getting like more of like a tighter back and
Yeah.
things like that. And I started working my core a lot more. I think that became more prevalent in like the last 5 to 10 years. So I kind of just goes hand in hand with just my daily routine of just, making sure my lower back isn't so tight. And so I stretch all the muscles and then I realized how good I feel. So I said, why not keep doing this? Right. I feel good.
Yeah. And have you noticed a difference in like your low back tightness over the years as you've gotten more consistent with stretching?
Oh, 100% that and core workouts. People that have really bad backs, lower backs, hips, knees, a lot of it's because of the core. And I try to tell them that a lot of the core workouts will definitely help them with that. But yeah, I have noticed a huge difference
Yeah,
in
because
how I
I
feel
mean that
for
was one of
sure.
the main reasons that I got into just doing mobility before my workouts was because of a disc herniation, and that like really
Yeah.
scared me because I was, and it was from,
Yeah.
and like people are thinking like, oh well, I don't lift heavy, I don't really have to be worried. It's like, well, when I herniated it was my, I think my L4 L5, and
Mm-hmm.
it was while picking up a 10-pound dumbbell while
Isn't that something?
while
Something
while
simple.
filming. Like I had lifted heavy earlier that day, and then I'm filming and I'm just moving a dumbbell, and I go to pick up a 10-pound dumbbell, and all of a sudden something goes in my back, and
Oh my
I like
goodness.
collapsed to the floor. I like couldn't stand up. I'm like barely able to walk. I had to use a cane. I was literally not in the gym for like I don't think at all for 6 months. And then
Oh
I
my.
eased my way back in for like the next month or two. And it was like 9 months, like total time span.
Yeah.
And that freaked me out.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I saw a
Yeah.
physical therapist consistently during that whole process. And I learned all these things that I should have been probably doing this whole time that I wasn't, but now I am. And so I think it's something
But
that,
now you learn. You learn
yeah,
as you go.
because,
That's kind of how I
yeah,
feel. Like you kind of learn as you go.
yeah. And when you're a kid, like
No.
nothing
Oh,
nothing
my
really
kids can't even touch
hurts.
their toes.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it
they
doesn't
can't.
matter
They
because
can't touch
like
their stretching is so bad.
yeah,
Yeah.
they got good
It's funny
knees, they
because my
got good
younger
backs.
everything's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
They look at me like, how do you touch your toes like to the floor? And they can't even like bend over halfway. It's just really funny. I don't
yeah.
know. But then
I
like
was
they
the
never
same
do.
way. And
Yeah.
then yeah, and
Yeah.
then a couple injuries go by, and you're like, whoa, I should take this serious, but I
You
should
should have
still
done
get
it.
better
Yeah.
at stretching after my
Yeah.
workouts. But like,
I mean, like, I think everybody could be better at something. Like, I feel like that's something that you can strive for. Even people that are seasoned, people that are seasoned workout, people are athletes. Like,
yeah,
there's always something you can strive to do better,
100%.
right? Whether it's your meals or like I could strive to drink more water. That's probably one of my biggest downfalls. I feel like I do a lot of everything else pretty good, but I feel like my water intake could be better without a doubt.
So using that as a bridge, let's talk about that a little bit. Water intake, obviously, we talked about this on the last episode as well, but water intake, obviously, a massive part of being healthy and getting in shape and just so many different things.
Oh, yeah.
What are the benefits of drinking enough water, and how much water should somebody drink?
Yeah, and I think, like I said, I think you have to find a good pattern that works for you. We mentioned this also previously, but I would try to get the recommendation is always half of your body weight in ounces. So I use this as an example all the time. If you're a 150-pound woman, maybe try to get 75 fluid ounces in a day. And you can get that through obviously through water, which is what we want you to get primarily, but you will get some hydration through fruits and veggies, some meats even, but try to get your water try to get as much water as it is in as you can a day. And the reason for that is obviously your body needs that hydration. Our bodies are made up of a lot of water. We excrete a lot of water throughout the day, whether we sweat, a lot
Just
of our
breathing.
internal bodily process, breathing. Yes.
Yeah.
We excrete water and we don't even know we do it. We go out in the hot sun, we're losing water. So you have to replenish what your body lost. Also, it's, your organs need it. Your major organs need to be hydrated. Your recovery process from working out, you need to hydrate. And another thing that people don't realize is if you don't hydrate enough, you can a lot of times mistake your thirst for hunger. So that when we are real thirsty, a lot of times we'll go grab something to eat when really we were just hungry, we were just thirsty. So I think that there's so many reasons why your body needs water. But again, you don't have to get stuck on a certain number of ounces. Drink throughout the day, drink enough, and find something that works for your schedule. You may be one of those people that doesn't want to drink before bed because you're up
Yep.
all night in the bathroom. So figure out something that works for you and go with that. And do your best. Don't get overwhelmed with water drinking. Just do your best and try to, properly hydrate throughout the day.
Yeah. No, and what you said about the appetite aspect of it is super important because like even I will sometimes be hungry, but I also know that
Yeah.
like I maybe haven't been as great at drinking my water the
Sure.
last couple of hours. And I don't even do this to help manage appetite. I do this just because I know I need my water. And I actually
Yeah.
struggle to get all my calories sometimes because I train so
Yeah.
much and I'm super
Yeah.
active, and like even working for me is also working out. And so like
Yeah.
I'm aiming for 4,000 calories a day. And sometimes that's tough when you're eating real food.
Yeah.
And so like I don't
Sure.
even do this for an appetite thing. I just do this for making sure that I get my water in thing, but I still do it, which is if I'm hungry and I know I haven't drank water in a while, I'll just chug like 12, 16 ounces
Yeah.
of water, and then I'll see where I'm at after that. And hopefully I'm still
True.
hungry because
Very
like I
true.
said, I struggle to get all my calories in. But I think what people will find is when they're not trying to eat 4,000 calories like I am, and they're trying to limit their calories
Yeah.
down to 1,500 or whatever, having that water when you're hungry might show you, whoa, I wasn't even really that hungry. Maybe you are still a little hungry, but it's way less
Yeah.
hunger
They less.
than before, which I think is a huge point.
And the one thing you may want to do is to think about is hydrating in the morning when you wake up. I
Yeah.
don't think we actually touched on this last
We
time,
didn't.
but
That's a great point.
your body from however long you've slept, you haven't eaten, you haven't drank, most likely you haven't had much, maybe than a sip of water in the night, but you're so dehydrated and your metabolism is so low when you wake up. That's why breakfast is so important. And they say to drink 2 glasses of water when you wake up. I don't know, it's not feasible for a lot of people, but you want to go ahead and hydrate in the morning because it's been so many hours since your body's had really anything to drink.
Yep.
So
Yep. No, I mean,
something to keep in
it's like what
mind.
we said, like breathing literally dehydrates you. And you just went through, hopefully, 8 hours of
Yeah.
breathing where you're not having any water. So you're going to be dehydrated. Like first thing that I do in the morning, or I guess with my breakfast, is I have like, well, first thing I'll do is I'll chug whatever's left in here. So like I'll fill this up before I go to
Yeah.
bed. And I'm not the type of
Yeah.
person who like limits water before I go to bed just because my body is used to
Yeah.
how much water I drink.
Yeah.
But I don't chug water before bed. Like I'm still making educated choices, you know. But in the morning, I'll just finish. I'll finish off whatever's left in my shaker bottle that's on my nightstand every single night. And then with breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
I have water with salt, and I make sure that I have that every
Oh,
single
okay.
morning so that I'm getting my electrolytes. I'm hydrating my body because I also know
Great
that like
idea. Yeah.
every single day I'm pushing my body with my training, and I do, like I said, triathlons, and so it's like I do lifts and then I do hours of swimming or biking or whatever sport it is that I'm scheduled to do that day, you know, and I lose a lot of sweat, and you're losing all your
Yeah.
electrolytes in your sweat. You're
Definitely.
losing all your salt in your sweat. And so I make sure that I'm topping that off. And then also after my workout, during my workout, that's also probably when I drink the most water. And I think that's a great
Yeah.
time for people to really
Yeah.
be mindful with how much water they're drinking. And then after their workout, after my workout, I also take salt. And so like I'll chug water during my workout, after my workout, and take more salt. And so I'm not
Interesting.
saying everybody should do that. Like if you're like, I train a lot and I don't think my schedule is normal for most people. And so doing everything that I'm saying is not good advice. I'm just saying, that's like what you said, find what works for you. Find
Yeah.
how you feel after you drink too much water in the morning, and then find out how much water you enjoy drinking in the morning and what makes you feel good. Find out if you like taking salt. Like I feel when I take salt in the morning, I just feel better. And I feel like my body is
Yeah.
like, I'm not cramping during my warm up before my workout, which
Yeah.
I'll have like these little toe cramps throughout the day if I don't get my salt in. And so it's just
Yeah.
about like making
You
those
learn what
small
your body
adjustments.
needs.
100%.
And don't forget to put, you can always add, don't be afraid to add lemons to your water.
Yeah.
I have a lot of clients that ask if they can do that. You can add like, lemons, maybe even like some fruit. People put fruit in their water.
Yeah.
That's 100% okay because I myself like to have lemon in my water. I drink it better. Just to me, it has more flavor. But you can always add things to your water like that to make them more flavorful if you're bored with just
Right.
plain water.
Yeah, no, I know my dad, when he was getting away from drinking pop and he was just drinking all water, he had to put like the little,
Something
like
in it, yeah.
the squirt things. I forget
The Milo or
something like that. Yeah. He had to put like this
Yeah.
flavored
Yeah,
thing
Milo.
in his water so that
Yeah.
he would actually drink it, because he was only used to drinking
Right.
Pepsi Zero
Right.
or whatever it is. And he wouldn't really drink water, and he hated the taste of water, which is hilarious because it doesn't have a taste, you know? But I was the same way when when I was a kid, I would just drink Mountain Dew. And then I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
should drink some water, because I don't even know how I lived as a kid. I don't think I drank any water, but now all I do
A lot
is
of
drink
kids
water.
don't.
And then, I mean, we also talked about like you made a great point on the last episode, which I just want to briefly mention, is that you don't have to only drink water all the time. Like you can give yourself, you can have your cheat drinks every day if you want, like I do.
Yeah.
Every morning I have like a
Yeah.
sugar-free Monster that I know has chemicals in it, but it helps me with balancing my lifestyle and my fitness. So I'm not feeling like I'm
Yeah.
giving up everything that I love. I have these little pieces that I incorporate that make it enjoyable. And then same thing, I mentioned the A&W sugar-free, caffeine-free root beer that tastes exactly the same as normal A&W root beer. And so find those little things that you really like that aren't knocking you off the wagon. They're not kicking you off of your fitness journey. Like they're not hurting your progress, but they can be these little like supplemental things
treats.
that you're doing. Supplemental treats to
Yeah.
that water. But then also, like we said, drink more water. I think a lot of people don't do that.
And like the example that your dad did, and I tell my clients this all the time, it's making lifestyle changes that, if you're used to drinking like pop and you're trying to cut back, like maybe you drink 2 pops a day right now, like, and you're starting one of our plans. I said, well, as hard as it is, like you need maybe just take it down to like a half a day. And then eventually you'll go down to not wanting it. because you're making little lifestyle changes, and those little lifestyle changes can add up. You don't need to go full force with
Yeah.
everything at once. Maybe it's just, cutting back. I have clients that drink wine, can I have wine or whatever? But you need to cut back. That's a lifestyle
Yeah.
change. You don't need to just cut everything out
Yep.
where you're like, I can't do this. You got to make little changes.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I'll have like people that come up to me in public who like recognize me from videos, and they'll be like, "What is the secret?" And I'm like, "Well, we have so many different videos. Like you could be talking about like our test boost, you could be talking about burn, you could be talking about our quiz, you could be talking about so many different things, right?"
Yeah.
But usually my answer is like, I mean, the main secret is just moderation. Like that's literally
Yeah.
it. Like if you eat healthy most of the time and then you enjoy your life the other part of the time, you might not get the fastest results as if you were following something like a strict bodybuilder who has a show in 12 weeks, but you're going to be able to stick to it much longer than they can, and you're going to slowly, consistently get results over time. And so I think it's important to have that balance.
Like with the exercise portion, which is what we're talking about, the reason too, it's so beneficial to exercise with your meal plan, because what you're doing is you're changing your body composition. And then when you do have those moments where you like, maybe you splurge on, I have clients that say, oh, I had a terrible weekend. I had all this food, I had a party, whatever, but you're working to build up that metabolism so that your body's working overtime to burn off those excess calories. I've been working out for a very long time, and I know that, I can have a cheat meal and I don't necessarily gain weight right away. I mean, if I did this every day, obviously I would, but you train your metabolism to, hey, you're eating pizza today. Okay, well, your metabolism's knowing that it's going to work. It's going to be in high gear. Your muscle's going to burn. You're burning it up as you go. And that's what I tell my clients. You've got to remember that you're changing your body composition. That's your main goal. You're changing the way your body looks and your strength and your toning.
Yeah, and I'll
versus
add,
watching the scale.
And I'll add on that pizza day that you had, use it. I think this is something that people get so hard on themselves about, like completely slipping from their diet. But in reality,
everything.
Hey, you can use that like to your advantage. Like if you had a buttload of pizza and you kind of feel bad about it, go to the gym the next day or that day and get one of the best workouts you've ever gotten in your life.
Sure.
Like use those calories to push yourself, because you're going to have more energy. You're going to get a better, like if you're a guy and you're going and lifting some weights, the pump that you'll get from eating a bunch of pizza is insane.
Right.
Like you'll get a great pump.
Right.
You'll be like, wow, why don't I eat pizza all the time? But you shouldn't do that.
Right.
But
right.
No, it's
and if here's
important
a tip
to know.
too, if you are going to eat pizza, I tell my clients, if you're going to have pizza night, I do this. I make myself a big salad to go with it, because you'll realize you fill up on the salad, and you're not going to, like, versus eating maybe 3 pieces, you may eat you'll eat 1 or 2 because you'll have the salad to fill you up. So there's little things you can do on the side to make things easier for you, and to make those little changes that you're trying to make.
Yeah. Yep. No, I love that. And I think I don't even have that as one of the questions or topics to go over, which is like making sure that your training is catered to what you're eating. It's like with carb cycling, like I get asked this question all the time. It's like, am I supposed to build my training around what I'm eating? And I'm like, absolutely. On your high carb day, you're going to have more energy. You're going to have more muscular endurance. You're going to have to be able to put more into your workouts. On your low carb days, you might want to take a rest day, and that's okay. That might just be like your arm and shoulders day, which is way easier than your legs day, And so it's about making those adjustments. But how would you say, what would you say is the best way for somebody to determine like what type of exercise is best for their goals? Because there's obviously so many different types.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, a lot of it's depending on your short and your long-term goals. And obviously, where you're starting at, and your age by all means too. If you're a younger person, 20s, 30s, even maybe some 40s, you can start off a little bit maybe more intense, where you can do, start off with a cardio type activity, but you could probably do some weight training too, and challenge your muscles. You don't want to go all out right away, like we said, but I think, you can do a little bit more, maybe try a HIIT workout here and there in 20, like I said, 20, 30s, 40s. I think you can obviously do a lot more than you can when you're getting up in your 50s, 60s and older, because, you're limited as you get a little bit older. Your mobility is limited. You're not going to be as strong
Especially if you've
right
taken some
away. But
time
I
off.
think like right, if you've taken some time off. So I think that you have to gauge and you have to see where you're starting at. Like, um, have you never worked out? Have you
Right.
never even touched a weight in your life?
Right.
Some people have it. So then you have to really you really have to start off slow. But some people may be like, hey, maybe I worked out like I sporadically work out, you know,
Right.
but then maybe you're a little bit more seasoned. You can jump into a little bit quicker. But you really have to just kind of gauge as to what your short and long term goals are. And if you're looking, like you said, to be a big bodybuilder, then you're going to be doing different workouts than somebody that's looking to just maybe tone or maintain, you know, where they are too.
Yeah.
And of course, I get a lot of older ladies that I train, and they obviously like they have to move slower. They can't get up and down as quick, so they're a little bit more limited. And you know, their muscle tones, their metabolism's already against them because as you get older, your metabolism slows down. So
Yep.
you have so many
Especially as
factors
women.
to work with. So as women, oh gosh, I get that all the time. You know, why is it taking me so long
Yep.
to see any changes? But it's because you have to really work really hard at it when you get older. It's
Well,
not going to come as
and your
easy
hormones make it much harder for women as well when they get to the menopause
yes.
era.
Belly fat forms. You get all kinds of things that happen. So I tell my clients, you really have to really work almost twice as hard. Not necessarily intensity, but you really have to give it your all in so many different ways that to see the changes. You know?
Yeah, and we talked about this a little bit on the last one. You're a big proponent of walking. Talk us through the benefits of walking and the difference between an aerobic and an anaerobic type of exercise.
Oh yeah. So yeah, you wanna train both. You want to do anaerobic, anaerobic. And aerobic is just going to be a steady state of you're going to find mostly cardio. Walking is a great exercise for anybody. It's a very safe exercise. It can be done at any age. Obviously, the elderly people can also walk, and it's safe for them. Swimming's another thing that's really probably one of the safest things you can do, but a lot of people don't have access to a pool, but you can do some swimming.
And swimming's
so these
hard.
Are talking about your
Swimming's really hard if you have no background in swimming. I can attest.
I'm awful at swimming. I'm terrible at swimming, but that's another aerobic
I'm a lot better now,
exercise,
but when I first got started, man, it was like I would get in the pool and I'm getting smoked by everybody. And I'm like, I'm in pretty good shape.
It's safe.
I've been working out consistently for 15 years. I'm getting smoked by everybody. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Yeah. So like any type of like steady state biking, if you like to go out and bike, you can do things with your children.
Super low impact.
Just any steady state of cardio. Yeah. Low impact, safe. Jogging's another thing. That's an aerobic workout. Obviously harder than walking, but
as long as the heart rate is low, right?
Yeah. So you want to do it more of an aerobic.
I feel like they'll go for a run and and I used to do this too before I understood the difference, and I would just push myself and I'd run as fast as I could, not necessarily sprinting, but as fast as I could for like a mile. And my heart rate's way too high for that, or for it to be aerobic.
And that's more of like almost like an anaerobic type exercise where you're increasing your heart rate and then you're stopping or you're not doing it.
But I think people think they have to do that sometimes, you know?
Yeah, no, you definitely don't have to do that. But again, you don't want to overtrain cardio either, because if you do too much cardio, it can backfire. And, sometimes if you're doing it too much, you can actually lose your muscle mass. You want to find and that's why we want to talk about the anaerobic, where you're doing some weight training and you're doing some core training and some HIIT training that we talked about, where you're a little bit more intense. So you really need to find a mix, because you want to make sure your body's working as like a functional unit. You don't want to do too much of one thing, and you want to be able to train, the body as a whole.
Would you say
depending on your fitness level?
Yeah. Would you say there is a general best practice for the split of aerobic versus anaerobic?
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of it goes down if you're following one of our carb, if you're following the carb cycling plan that we talked about, or not. But if you are following the carb cycling plan, we give you the 3 lower carb days, 2 mid days, 2 high days. So on your lower days where you're not eating as many carbs, you definitely want to save those for like a lower intensity day, whether it's maybe just like a short walk or a stretching, or like you mentioned, maybe just like a arms routine or something like that. But on the days where you're eating more carbs, you can save those for your heavier weight training days. I always tell clients, do your HIIT workouts on your high carb days because
Yeah.
you are going to need the carbs for those workouts. They're not easy.
Yeah.
They require a lot of energy, and you'll get that with your carbs.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, you want to build your eating around your exercise days, and you want to be smart about it too.
Yeah.
And you always want to take a day off. It's okay to take a day off. You don't have to train 7 days a week. Your body actually needs that recovery time too.
Yeah. And so I'm hearing a lot of mental aspects of this, and I don't think people really take that into account as much when thinking exercise because they're thinking just physical. How is working out both a physical and mental workout?
Yeah, well, we all know it's physical, right? Because we're like, we're using our bodies, we're trying to fatigue our bodies, we're out of breath sometimes, But for me, it's physical, but it's more of a mental workout because for me, it's a break in my day where I can focus just on me. Whether it's you're in your basement by yourself, you're in a class, you're using the time for just you, and you need that mental break. You need the time away where you're not checking your phone and, no one's calling your name. You need that time to yourself. And a lot of people can't find that time, but I always tell people try to find that time. Schedule a half hour
Yeah.
of your day for just you. You need it because what's going to happen is you're going to feel better mentally and you're going to be able to deal with things better. You're going to feel better and you're going to have more energy. So that I always use myself as an example. Every day around 8:30 or 9 in the morning, I put my phone aside. I always have a lot of work to do, but I put it aside. I try not to answer my phone unless it's important. And I take the time, I listen to music. And as for busy as I am, I'm like, this is going to benefit me because in 8 hours from now when I'm working, I'm going to have more energy and I'm going to feel better. So that's what I tell myself. It's like mind over matter. I have to do it for that reason alone. Obviously, the benefits of feeling good and toning and things. But for me, it's almost like I need the mental break,
Yeah. No, I mean,
a good sweat is very important.
Yeah, and we talked about this a little bit on the last episode where I'm the same way. I don't wake up as early as you. We also talked about like the circadian rhythm side of things.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that a little bit on this one too, but
Yeah.
I wake up a little bit later. I work in the morning. I go hit the gym midday, 12, 1, 2-ish. And then I get back home, knock out a little bit more work, and then have my evening still. And that just helps me to not feel like I'm just stuck in my chair working all day long. And also like gives me that energy to get that second stretch of work done with better focus, with more energy, feeling happier. Like I'm literally in a better mood after I work out, which I think most people can agree with.
100%.
Maybe not all the time.
And you'll sleep
Sometimes I really drain myself during my workouts. But most of the time I'm feeling much, much better, And so, yeah, I think the mental side of things is, and like, it's like when people say that like the gym is their therapy. Like it might sound a little corny, but it's true. And it's been my therapy I also do actual therapy. I think everybody should actually do that too. But I go to the gym and I look at that as like, that's an hour or two for me to just be by myself to my own thoughts. I'm not really worried about social media or who's hitting me up on Slack or whatever it might be. I'm just doing my thing, And so I think when people stop just associating working out with just getting in better shape and they start looking at it as this is me time, then all of a sudden they can start prioritizing it more easier just because it's less of a burden and now it's more of an opportunity to get a break from life and to just focus on yourself.
Agreed, 100%. 100% agree. Yes.
For sure. What would you say is we already talked about sleep and hydration. Actually, we already talked about sleep, hydration, and nutrition. How would you rank sleep, hydration, and nutrition with fitness?
I would say, honestly, I would put sleep first, and I'll tell you why. I would do sleep, nutrition. That's a tough one. I would definitely do sleep first, and then I would do hydration and nutrition because if you're not hydrated, then you could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reason I'm going to put sleep first is because if you don't get enough sleep, then it's going to affect the way you eat. And we talked about this, I believe, in the last call or in the last podcast. But if you don't get enough quality sleep, not only are you going to have less energy for daily functioning and for your workouts, you're also going to have your hunger hormones are going to be thrown off and you're going to just by nature, your body reaches for carb foods, not always the best choices, to make up for that sleep that you don't have. So I think that your sleeping is the number one priority. And also with your exercise, you need that time to repair your muscles.
Yeah.
So I think definitely the sleep goes number one for me.
Okay. And then two.
And if you don't get enough sleep, you're not going to have enough energy to get your workout in the next day
Well, yeah,
or the following day. So I think that carries over.
The effects that it has even on like growth hormone, testosterone, and like you said, your hunger hormones, leptin, ghrelin, serotonin, dopamine, like you literally just will feel like crap if you don't get enough sleep. And good luck getting good workouts consistently if you feel like crap every single day and you want to eat junk food.
Right. Agreed. 100%. So I would definitely, sleep is definitely number one. And for me, like I said, it helps your emotional state of mind too, where you handle things a lot better when you feel more rested, for sure.
Yeah. And then would you say nutrition or workouts are number two?
Definitely I would say nutrition would be number two, because you have to properly fuel your body. And if you're working out and if you're doing just workouts and not eating correctly, you're going to obviously have trouble losing weight. But if you're eating correctly, you start eating correctly, you can still lose weight without working out. You can do that. However, the exercise is a metabolism boost so that you're losing weight at a quicker pace, and you're toning at the same time. So I would say I'd put nutrition before the workout. So I would go sleep, nutrition, and workout. Maybe you'd have different thought. I don't know, but that's kind of what I see.
No, I completely agree. And I think it's, I mean, I hear it all the time where people are like, I'm working out. Like they're great at workouts. They're like, I'm working out all the time. I'm going to the gym almost every single day, but I'm not losing weight. And I'm like, well, I know what's wrong. You're not eating right.
You're not eating right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like what you said.
Or like, drinking beer and all that, all
exactly.
that stuff too,
And yeah, so I think it's like what you said. You can definitely, if you don't work out, but you feed your body the right nutrition, you can lose weight. But if you just work out and don't eat right, it's like, it's what's the saying? You can't outwork a bad diet or something like that. Which is
right.
100% true.
Abs start in the kitchen or whatever.
Yeah, like I kicked my own butt in the gym for probably the first 5 years of my journey and didn't know a thing about nutrition, and then learned about nutrition and started eating right and didn't change anything with my gym routine, but started getting way better results because I started actually eating right.
Yeah, 100% agree.
So, okay, last two questions. What's some tips for staying motivated and staying consistent? And then I got a little like, not a trick question for you at the end, but one that you're not expecting.
All right. Definitely tips for staying motivated is I want you to think about how good you feel after your workout. So when you feel that, even if you feel it I have clients that say, oh, I felt so good after I started those workouts. Keep that in mind. That's going to be the case every time you work out. So I think that mental motivation is there. Obviously, the scale's a motivator. If you're seeing pounds come off the scale because you're working out and eating correctly, watching yourself get stronger, that's definitely a motivator. I mean, even for me, when I go work out, when I notice I'm getting stronger and I'm like, oh, I can do this. I couldn't do this a month ago, but I can do this now. I feel like I'm more motivated to keep going for that reason.
Let me stop you right
Clothes
there.
Are fitting better.
What's something that you tell yourself when you get a little frustrated that you're not stronger today? Because people are also going to have that, and like that's something that I can attest to. Like when I'm lifting, I'll kind of do like a feel out set. Like I'll do a warm up set, and then I'll do like a feel out set, and I'll see like how I'm really feeling that day, how my muscles are feeling, how strong I'm feeling, how sore I still am, And then sometimes I'm getting fantastic workouts and I'm moving weight, and then other times that those 60-pound dumbbells feel heavy,
Yeah, it happens, right? It does. And even like I said, I do workouts at the gym as well as home. And there's some days where I'm like, why? I'm not lifting like I normally can. And there's some days where I'm like, wow, where am I getting all this strength from? But I think on the days that you're not maybe as strong, it's okay. It's going to happen. And then maybe instead of focusing on like a weight training workout that day, maybe you divert yourself to maybe a cardio or a different workout that maybe your muscles, maybe you're sore and you don't want to work up your body. You just give it a break and you do something else, or you take a stretch day or whatever, but you listen to your body all the time, and it's okay to have those days because everybody does, and then you're going to have those days where you're stronger. So it kind of goes hand in hand, and it's going to happen. You kind of just have to tell yourself that. But I think one of the biggest motivators for people like my clients are pictures, because
Hmm.
I mentioned this before.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're not seeing the scale move as quickly as they want. And I have them take side by side photos of like from 4 weeks, beginning of the month to the end of the month. And I put them, they're like, oh my God, I didn't even notice that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
especially like a side view where they see their abs
Mm.
changing. And like, I didn't even realize that. I'm like, yeah, that's what happens. You aren't realizing
Yeah.
it, but it's happening.
Yeah.
And you're not maybe seeing it on
Well,
yourself,
because
but
you're
when you
looking at
put them
yourself in the
together,
mirror every single day. You're never going to notice those
right.
tiny
And
little
when
changes.
they don't notice, and then they look at that and they're like, I tell people in the beginning that you're going to send me starting photos, because they are going to become your biggest motivators when you start to progress. And that I usually get a lot of photos. I'm pretty good about getting their photos. But it's so important, because I feel like they don't know how good they're doing sometimes until they see their photos. So I
And
think that's a huge one. I would say that's one of the biggest ones.
yeah, I mean, that's great. And something that I hear all the time from people at the start of their fitness journey, or people who have lost a bunch of weight. And then they're like, man, I never took pictures before because I didn't like how I looked. And so I don't really have that many pictures to go off of back in the day. And that makes it even more important to take those starting photos so that you can truly have
Always.
before photos. Because if you're 100 pounds overweight, you're probably shying away from the camera a little bit. You're not the person who's like,
And
let's
a
take
lot
a
of them
picture.
don't want to take pictures.
Yeah. They're the one taking the picture, you know?
And that's okay. People don't, a lot of people are like, these are the worst pictures. I said, I'm not looking at these starting photos. We're going to use them for comparison purposes. You're going to like them when you see what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So I think photos for me is probably the one of the biggest motivators by far.
That's great. That's great. Okay. Last question. What is one exercise tip that you believe everybody should know?
One exercise. I think the biggest exercise tip I can give anybody is to change your workouts and don't do the same thing day after day.
Nice.
I think that has been I think that's the biggest thing you can do for yourself. I want you to be able to challenge your body, and you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to be doing hit workouts day and day. I want you to do something different every day. And I want you to make sure that you're challenging different muscles on a daily basis. That would be probably my biggest word of advice for people.
Because you think people get lost in the monotonous feeling of thinking they have to do the same thing every single day, and their body hits a plateau. And
yeah, and I want you to trick your body. I want your body not to know what it's going to do that day. I want you to find a different workout you haven't done in a while. Find a different activity, and you're going to be like, wow. I worked muscles I didn't even know I had, and that's where you're going to get the most for your bang with your body composition changing. So
yeah.
That's what I do for myself. I never do the same workout 2 days in a row. I always change it up.
Yeah, I guess I don't think I've ever done the same workout 2 days in a row. I
won't do it. I'll find something different.
I am quite robotic about my weekly split though. And so I will say, like, if someone's trying to like build muscle in a specific area, obviously you want to really train that area consistently. Like if I'm trying to build my chest, I'm hitting chest twice a week, but I'm never doing the same thing twice in a row. And I think again, like I always try to like keep in mind that like what I'm doing isn't necessarily the norm for like my mom or my dad, And so like I'm also trying to make sure that like they're like I'm a little bit robotic in it about like working out, about nutrition. Most people, especially in the beginning, are not going to be like that. I think some people shift to that eventually, but in that beginning stage, it's so important to do whatever is going to keep you showing up, And if you're doing the same workout over and over again, then chances of you showing up the 22nd day they're going to be slim because you're bored of this. Maybe you think that you could be getting other results. Maybe your body hurt, whatever it might be. You're just not enjoying it like you could be. So I love that answer.
Yeah.
But I think that does it. Is there anything else you would like to say before we hop off here?
No, and I tell people this all the time. Give yourself grace and give yourself patience, and really take things one day at a time. And I don't just mean that from a fitness perspective. I mean it from a nutrition, and you got to just focus on today. I hate when clients think about weeks from now, because you kind of overwhelm yourself. So think about today and what you can do today to make yourself better. And if for some reason you don't do what you're going to do, then you get up tomorrow and you take it, you try again, right? So you want to just take things slowly and give yourself patience and grace that you can do it. You can do it, and one day at a time, and things are going to come up that may throw you off course, but
That's life.
you will get back on track. That's life, and you will get back on track. You will be consistency is always going to pay off with workouts and nutrition, and you can do it. I mean, it's mind over matter. And if they ever need anyone to help them, obviously, we've got some great programs here with our trainers. We have great trainers and a great staff. So we're here for people as well. So
yeah, nice. We got 2 exercise tips back to back, because I think that one was just as powerful as the first one.
Yeah, for sure. I try to tell myself that every day. It's one day at a time, and you never know what tomorrow will bring. So just try to focus on today and do what you can.
Yeah, and it can be overwhelming to look that far in the future.
Be overwhelming to look at tomorrow, right? You try to focus on today and be your best version of yourself you can, whatever it takes. So
yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much for all of this. Hopefully everybody listening got some workout tips, got some gym tips. I mean, we talked nutrition, we talked sleep. I think we talked about a lot of stuff, and hopefully if anybody's been kind of struggling with the idea of getting started, hopefully this gives you that little bit of extra motivation that you needed to get in the gym. Or if you're in a little bit of a plateau right now, or you fell off the wagon a little bit ago, hopefully this gets you back on. So I appreciate you taking time out of your day to stop answering emails with clients to come talk to me.
I'll be back on in a minute here. So they're coming in as we speak. I see them.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. This was great.
All right. Thanks, Vince. Have a good day.
You too. Now, if you are looking for some extra support and you aren't looking to spend a fortune, you should consider working with one of our V-Shred certified coaches. We'll figure out your macros. We'll figure out your calories. We'll figure out what your custom meal plan will look like. And yes, we'll make sure that it contains your favorite foods. And basically all you do is you let your coach know what you like, what you don't like, because when we say custom, we mean it. And you get unlimited emails, you get weekly check-ins, you get access to our brand new coaching app where you can message them at any time about anything with any questions. Our coaches are here to help you reach your goals, and they care about your success. And so all the details about how it works is in the description down below. So check that out if you want to. But thank you again for tuning in. Until next time.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of V-Shred's Better Body, Better Life podcast. Whether you're doing one of our programs, taking our supplements, or just doing things on your own, tune in every week for exclusive content with Vince, V-Shred trainers, and special guests as they share valuable tips around motivation, workouts, food, and living a healthier lifestyle. See you next time.